Right, as you know, WA Premier Mark McGowan has announced a review of the state's hotel quarantine arrangements as the state recorded no new coronavirus cases today. Comes as complaints emerge from Perth about testing sites closing at 10 p.m, leaving many who have waited for hours and hours in lines, because it's been very hot over there in Perth, untested. For more on this, I'm joined now from Perth by Dr Clay Goldridge, infectious diseases specialist at Hollywood Private Hospital in Nedlands, Western Australia. Dr Goldridge, thank you for coming on the show. I wanted to speak to you. You're absolutely at the coal face. How has the government handled this outbreak? Given we're 12 months on from COVID, I have been surprised, to be kind to the Premier, that they're as flat-footed as they are.
Yeah, good afternoon or good evening, Peter, from smoky and hot Perth. Yeah, look, it's been pretty amazing to me as an infectious diseases doctor to see the way the government has handled it. And it's been a very, as you know, draconian all or none response, jumping at every shadow, border up, border down. Everything is really very much full on with our government, and there doesn't seem to be any middle ground approach in the way our borders are being controlled. And of course, at the moment, we're in a 5-day lockdown based on one case from a hotel security guard, which again, to me at least, appears to be very much over the top.
You're an expert in this area. How is it that we are so tough on cases inside our country? We're locking down the economy. We've got this terrible situation where it's, one state against another. You can be in the air and find you can't land, or you have to turn around and come home. But day in, day out, jumbo jets are landing in Australia. We're re-importing the virus, and we seem to be mucking up that end of the sort of virus chain, entry into Australia, the management of hotel quarantine. It beggars belief that they had this bloke out there with second jobs and things like that. And I don't begrudge him trying to earn a bit more, but why on earth wasn't this managed and thought through months before we get to this situation? So we're tough internally, but we've got basically this net, this open problem of importing the virus. Am I being over the top here?
No, not at all. And I think we've got it completely wrong. I think what we've done in WA and to other states as well, to maybe not the same extent as us, is got so obsessed about looking at fellow Australians who are perfectly healthy and stopping them coming in and dropping the ball and not looking at our real threat, which of course is international arrivals. So we've got this up and down state border closures left, right and centre, our reactivity to a single case. And then we're just not tightening up on the real threat, which is bringing in the virus from overseas. So we need to be meticulous in our international quarantine arrangements. And I just feel strongly that an inner city hotel that's shared with other guests and with people having second jobs and not wearing PPE and mingling, etc., is the way to go. I think we need to be much, much harder than we currently are in Perth and in other capital cities as well in terms of the way we manage quarantine. I think the model really is how it springs in the Northern Territory, where you've got a dedicated quarantine facility where people have one job there, they go there, they quarantine, they can exercise, it's proximal to Darwin, only 20 k's away. This is the sort of thing we should be looking at, and we're really set up for failure. It's amazing to me that we haven't failed in West Australia before. So we're looking inward, we should be looking outward and controlling our international quarantine much better than we are.
So put the hat on for a moment. You're the Health Minister in WA. What would you want to do to fix this mess?
In terms of the international quarantine, I'd be very much looking, because we've got months, if not years, to still go in way we manage people coming in from international. And yes, we must get vaccinated and that will protect us against illness, but we'll still eventually, we need to get on with life and we need to open up the international borders. So yes, we'll be vaccine protected, which will hopefully prevent severe disease, but we've got to make plans for how we're going to manage people arriving and putting them in some sort of quarantine facility. So I'd be looking at a purpose-built facility or even utilising some of the existing facilities. For instance, in Perth, we've got a place called Yonge Hill, which is a detention facility that's in Northern, which is about 80 or 90 k's from Perth. That could, for instance, be repurposed as a dedicated quarantine facility. So that's one particular option that could be used that's still proximal to to Perth City if someone did need to be hospitalised in a fairly short space of time. But what should happen in the short term, at least, is to say, all right, we're going to make dedicated quarantine hotels where nobody else comes in. We don't have normal guests coming and going with their kids and their grandparents and whatever and splashing around in the pool, or people are staring enviously out the window down at them. We need to say we're going to establish 2, 3 quarantine hotels. People have single jobs. We have make sure the ventilation is adequate and not recirculated air. Staff are wearing PPE. We really tighten up. Everyone has daily COVID antigen testing, and we control this rigorously. And we open our state border up and start Australia being back to being normal again, because this existence is so artificial and so punitive. We just need to get moving and get in the right direction.
And Dr. Clay Golledge, anyone on the east, anyone particularly in Victoria listening to you now, would be gobsmacked that after the circus and the 800 deaths and all the issues that Victoria had last year, that Mark McGowan and the ministers, the front bench over there in WA, did not read any of the news reports or the information of what went wrong, the calamity that was Victoria, and learn from it. That beggars belief, particularly when they're two outspoken, highly popular Labor premiers. Got to leave it there. Thank you for your time. A lot of common sense.
Thanks. Thanks, Peter. Cheers.